Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to, it's not Pixel Village. Welcome to Fujifilm X India's YouTube channel. And I'm Radhakrishnan from Pixel Village. Well, it's a Saturday evening. I'm sure you all are at home or probably working late in the evening because tomorrow lots of photographers have work. So maybe you are still at the studio tuning into Pixel Villages. No, not Pixel Villages. Fujifilm X India's live here. We're going to be having, I'm actually looking forward to an exciting evening today because we have we have two amazingly talented photographers. You already know about them. We already told you who they are. Before we actually start the session, I'd like to quickly see who all are already here. And okay, we have people slowly coming in because, you know, YouTube is sending out those messages out, notifications out, and slowly people will be trickling in now. So we will wait till a decent size of audience kind of gather to listen to them because I don't want you to miss anything from the session. Okay, and so we have Vikas Kumar and Abhijit Sasi and Suman Singh, Kottapalli, Vijay Kumar Swami. Good evening to everyone. Wonderful. And we hope that, and also this here you can't start a watch party. Well, anyway, inform your friends and, you know, get everyone together so that we can have a great evening together. Okay, and all right, they are slowly coming in. Okay. You have already started asking questions. So let me tell you, there will be a question and answer session at the end. Please save all your questions for the end. If you type in your questions now, what will happen is, you know, as you type in, more and more questions will come in after you, and you will be pushed to the back, and it's likely that your question will not be answered. We will miss it. So save your questions, and when we actually ask you to, ask the questions, and that's the time you should be, sending in those questions. So please save your questions, write it down, note it down somewhere. Bharat Drishyam saying good evening. Ramesh S.A. saying hello, sir, good evening. Shivanandan, camera expert, saying love Fujifilm camera. We all do. Sorry. We were shooting in the studio and I had a late lunch, so sorry if I'm pulsing. Sorry. Okay. I think let's kickstart. All right. Now, so what we have today for you are these. I told you there are these two amazing photographers. Both of them do wedding photography, and they also do a whole lot of other stuff too. But we will, of course, talk about everything, their photography in general. And before I introduce the first person, let me play some images from his portfolio. Okay, here you go. Hi, Nikhil. Fantastic.
Hi,
I don't think you need to speak because your pictures have already spoken.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was mind blowing. Wedding is almost like being on a war front, right? How do you get time to frame so perfectly and get those amazing moments? Yeah.
That's what No, firstly, before I start, I just wanted to check if everyone can hear me loud and clear.
By the way, that's the most asked question on the internet during COVID time. Am I audible? You are.
Yeah, perfect. I've been doing a bunch of these talks, and every single time I start off, and then halfway, I mean not halfway, but a few minutes in, somebody will be like, "You're not audible" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to check once. But thank you so much for that introduction, Radha-san. What you're saying is actually true. Especially the kind of weddings we shoot, right? In India, there is no space. All the guests are trying to get into your sort of your field of view, and there are a bunch of things happening. But I think a couple of things. One is try and spend a lot of time and effort in speaking to whomever you're shooting, and be human. Try and get to know everyone on a personal level. Don't just come to the wedding as a vendor per se. Try and invest some time and effort in explaining what you're doing, and also understanding where others come from. And then I think you can find an easy balance which will help everyone out in these situations.
That's I think you have actually spelled out the key point. Lots of photographers I know consider photography as a job, and they come to the place as my job today is to take picture. They come with an employee mentality. I am employed today to take pictures, but probably that's where the differentiation comes in. And you people blend in and become one with them and friends with them, and dance with them and drink with them, and you get all these fantastic images. I suppose.
It's very true. What you're saying is true. It's a lot harder earlier on when you start off, when you don't get the weddings that you want to shoot, or the people that you would want to shoot. But what I've realized over a period of time is you would be most happy shooting people who are just like you, shooting a friend's wedding, and if you can if you try and work towards that, which is it's a step-by-step process from the start. And if you work on it from the start, then you'll get there eventually, and then it won't be like a job. And when it's not like a job, then you enjoy what you do, then it's a lot easier to.
Though I enjoy photography, especially wedding photography, I don't think I get to do any wedding anymore, because like you said, none of people of my vintage is getting ready to marry anymore. unless they are planning to do their second and third. But you make a mistake only once, don't you? But you make a mistake only once, don't you? Anyway, fantastic. Yeah. All right. So at this point, allow me to bring in the second, guest. He's not actually a guest. He is in the family. And before I bring him in, let me kind of show his work too. Sudhakar, are you there?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
Hey, Sudhakar, that was stunning. And did you by any way get Hans Zimmer to do the music? I mean, that was like really almost like Batman style music. Yeah, wonderful. And you have some dramatic lighting on your face as well today.
Thank you. I always like dramatic lighting. I don't like the flat
Yeah.
lighting as much as everybody does, but I like a little dramatic. And thanks for an amazing intro. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, wonderful. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for agreeing to be a part of this evening today, Sudhakar. Um, like you just heard Nikhil speaking about his photography. Do you have the same belief? I mean, or you approach wedding in a different way?
No, more or less it is same because you need to understand the client first and be more human, like Nikhil said. You need to, it's not just one bride in the wedding. So every girl that walks in, every woman in the wedding place, you need to treat them like a bride.
Yeah.
Then you get your path for moments. You just play very defensively on a first day and then try to get close to everybody and then have a laugh and then a coffee with them and then try to get understand. The next day on a main wedding day, they probably give you a lot of space and they say, yeah, please, please, come, go ahead, do whatever you want, it's all yours. That's what they do it when you actually be human and I understand and then probably click some portraits of them and then make them happy. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
family affair. You need to make everybody happy there. You can't just only concentrate on the bride or just the family. Everybody is so important because it's a wedding, it's a family affair, and we need to understand them. That's the whole point. Like Nikhil said, yes, you need to be very human. You need to understand what the client wants, and our approach is basically we try to do a counseling to the couple before the weddings. We tell them
Okay.
what we plan to shoot and how do we plan to execute that, and then we buy a lot of time from them. So let's say if we need 15 minutes, we buy them 30 minutes so that we get at least the 10 minutes to shoot them.
Mhm.
And of course it's like a war zone, like you said, but yeah,
Mhm.
we are trained, right? We are trained professionals and we need to perform well, just like Sachin
but
going for
but
a bat.
sorry
Yes.
to cut you in there, but there are a lot of these occupational hazards like the makeup person and the sari drapist and all that. They all going to kind of hurry them up. But I mean, I've realized that they actually eat up a lot of time, and uh, photographers usually get
Yes,
the last bit just before the
a
bride is
lot.
taken away to the function, right?
Rightly said. So yeah, initially this was like a nightmare to us because you need to handle the other part of the vendors that are coming in there. But we play the major part, so we make sure that we reached out to everybody like beforehand. Now that we are in the industry for quite some time, so we know who's coming in. So we ask them
Uh,
who's the makeup artist. So we know, okay, okay, this is the guy. Okay, so I know what to play, how to play with it.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
know most of the time that who's the makeup artist, who's the saree draper, and who's coming and who's not. So we make sure that okay. So we just go first and greet them and then say hi, how are you, kaise ho, and all that.
yeah.
You know,
It's a
the,
it's a camaraderie. You build a camaraderie among the entire team.
yeah, it's more like an extended family to us because
Yeah.
we see them every second day, either X or Y. We see them every second day. So it's like it's more of a friendly approach to them. So the moment we go in, they also feel like okay, okay, these guys give us space, so let's give them space. So it's like win-win situation for everybody. That's how we
Mm.
get there and create those moments for the brides
One,
because they have a
wonderful.
lot of faith in us, and then they say if you're not coming, they if you're 5 minutes late, they get upset. So we make sure that we reach and then start bugging them in the makeup room. Okay, are you ready? Are you done? What is the status? And then we keep chatting because we have this group until the wedding's finished. So we keep having a conversation, then coffee in case if the wedding is planned much earlier. So we just make sure that we turn them into our friends and make more comfortable for them rather than somebody just walking in and say, can you do that, can you do this, and it looks very you know I
Yeah,
don't like it personally, so I don't
yeah,
want them to feel the same way. That's I
sure.
think that's the key.
Absolutely. I'm going to take Nikhil also in onto the screen. Hi, Nikhil. Now you're a part
Hi,
of the
hi.
stream now.
Nikhil.
And of course,
Hey,
of course,
Sudhakar.
you know each other. So this evening, besides your photography, we are also going to be talking about a new person, which is the X-S10, which is the latest, absolutely latest from Fuji. Well, it just came to my studio. We are supposed to be reviewing it, doing an extensive test with it. My initial impression has been fantastic. But before we go there, I would like you to actually share your Fuji experience. Also show some work from your, from your portfolio. So, Nikhil, can you go first, please?
Sure. So actually, Radha-san asked me to share some work today, but I sort of thought of doing this a little differently, considering the whole situation that we've been in the last 6 to 8 months, and I haven't really shot that many weddings. So I just wanted to sort of share my experience of still using the Fuji camera. I've been shooting for a while now, 6, 7 years, and I always had like a big, massive camera on me. But I never really sort of felt how do I put it? On a day-to-day basis, I would never take it out. It would never be used. But over the past 6 months, I've started using my camera a lot more, and I wanted to sort of share a few images that I've taken, of just stuff at home and my family and things like that. So I'm just going to try and play that. So I hope you can see my screen. Radha-san, is it okay?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to now play the screen. Give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure that screen is played in full size. Okay. All right, so you can start playing the stills now.
Yeah. So before I speak anything, I mean, I'm just going to sort of walk you through a few images that I've been making images every single day with my Fuji. I usually shoot with a Fuji X-T3 and an X Pro 3, and I found like a comfortable sort of. I found a lot of comfort in shooting with these cameras, but these are just images made of my daughter, my family, my dog at home and nowhere else. And this has been sort of like a project that I've been, not really a project, it's just more documenting my everyday life, what's happening at home. I had my parents come over and live with us during this whole lockdown period, so my daughter is spending a lot more time with them. So I documented a lot of pictures of that happening. It's just her running around every day, be it hanging clothes, my dog just running around, us watering the garden, stuff like that, in the kitchen. And this is just sort of everyday life. But frankly speaking, the reason or what I've really understood over the last 6 months of using the camera is and it's been my greatest learning, because one is I'm not delivering to a client at all. So I can make as many mistakes. I've just been trying and various things. These are all images just shot with their with the film simulations, and just directly uploaded. These are just JPEGs. I didn't even shoot RAW for these. Converted them. Just transferred them into the mobile. Just color corrected it a little. Not even color corrected, right? I shot all of these in black and white. And it's just every day, I just have my camera with me. It's always in my living room or in my dining room, and always, I always have. It's just a couple of steps away, and I've just been making these images sort of every single day, and I hope this will, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, these will probably hold their weight in gold for at least my family. So this is basically what I've been doing. The biggest advantage for me is the accessibility to this camera, like how light it is, how easy to use it is. It's not that heavy, big camera that I'm lugging around anywhere. So I'm just, so happy taking it out and shooting with it. Just ease of, transferring images. I don't have to worry about RAW, transferring it into my laptop, editing them on Lightroom and things like that. So these are just basic images I've shot. I'll just quickly browse through them now. Cool. I also wanted to sort of quickly talk about another, and if I may call it a pet project that I've been doing. So it started off with, me wanting like a big, nice frame of my pet on our wall. And that's basically how it started off. I'm also, wanted to understand lighting a lot more, which is studio lighting and things like that. Which wasn't my strong suit before the lockdown, and I spent some time sort of understanding and learning how to light subjects and things like that. And this project started off with this portrait, but it's grown on to so bigger things. We've been shooting for a couple of weeks or a couple of months now, and every once in 2 weeks we end up inviting a few pets over, and we take portraits of them, and hopefully these will be on the owners' walls at some point. So these are a few pet portraits that we've made in the last few weeks. All of them have been shot with the Fuji system. Some of them with the GFX, some of them with the S10 because I just got it. This one in fact was shot this morning. I shot this with the X-S10, and I quite like it. This is I want to end with this cat, a scary looking cat, but that's about it. I just wanted to quickly showcase what I've been up to in the last so many months without having.
Hey, that's really, really interesting, and from documenting slice of life of your family. I don't think it's any different from, because since you are when you go to a wedding, you are considering that as your extended family. Here you are literally and figuratively at home when you're shooting your own children.
But this means a lot more, Radhasan. This means a lot more.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But it is. Usually what happens is when you point your camera at your family people, there is a, it has got both. You need to. There are two things. I've always found that the reactions are a little more. At least in my case, no. You take only other people's pictures, well, not our people's. There's so much of dark area here. There are things like that. So, but here in this case, those were gems. I mean, like you said, the value is like 50 years from now. Yeah.
This is the only reason I don't shoot my wife, because every time I shoot pictures of her, she comes
You
up
said
with
it. I didn't say that. You said it. All right. So wonderful. So two things that I also totally agree about the way the JPEGs come out of these cameras, the Fuji cameras, with all the simulations. Now you use Acros for the black and white instead of using Lightroom to convert it. Well, it is definitely, you can use Lightroom, you can use various other third-party software to convert your RAW to a black and white, but it requires a little bit of expertise. Here, the camera is taking care of that, and you need to worry only about the frame. And in case if you need to go back to color, or you want to go back to do some more editing, you have the RAW anyway to fall back.
Correct.
Please go ahead.
In fact, I use the Acros filter even when I shoot wedding images. So I am one of those type of people who gets very confused with the amount of color that's in Indian weddings, and it distracts me more than anything else.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm shooting, even when I'm shooting weddings, it's always with the Acros film simulation on. I shoot obviously I have the raw, so I can get the color images out of
Yeah.
it. But when I'm shooting, I only want to sort of concentrate on the light falling on my subject's face or the shadows and things like that. So I tend to use a lot of I primarily use the Acros filter, but these simulations are great.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We use Fuji extensively for our YouTube videos, and we use the Eterna simulation on our 4K video blindly. We trust it blindly, and we don't need to spend, because it is going to go on YouTube and Facebook and other social media platforms. All I need to do is to just do a basic colorimetry corrections and saturation. That's it, and I'm ready to go. And in fact, look at this image of, this is being now shot with X-T3 with the Eterna film simulation.
Yeah.
And I think it is, and not the model, but the frame and the colors looks pretty nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna
So
quickly change my filter so that everyone can see what I usually see at a wedding. This is basically how
wonderful. Oh, nice.
This is how I shoot weddings.
Nice.
Yeah, but I'll get back to color.
Sure. So which camera are you using to now stream?
I'm using the X-T3 as well. Yeah.
Are you using? No. What are you using now? At this point?
Yeah, the X-T3.
X-T3, wonderful. All right. Okay, so the X-T3 now has this. In fact, Fujifilm has this webcam extension available, so you can use it conveniently, convert your mirrorless camera into a webcam, and also use all the simulations. Just now, Nikhil demonstrated it for us. Converted, and you can use it as very, very effectively stream it, and you will definitely stand out in the crowd. Okay, now Nikhil, let me move to Sudhakar, and I would like people to watch Sudhakar's work as well. So I will take in Sudhakar, and I will take you off the screen. Nikhil, please stay there. And Sudhakar, I'm sure you saw that conversation that we had. So the next is you. Please share us. Yeah, absolutely. And please share us your Fuji experience and some images that you shot with Fuji.
Okay, let me quickly give me my journey of Fuji. Way back in 2014, I think, 2014, I was struggling with a lot of weight issues with my cameras, especially having shoulder muscle tears and stuff like that. So I had to move on to something nice, something lighter. And that point of time, there was in fact no Fuji available in India. So one of my friends suggested, why don't you just check it out? And then I got the X-S10 okay, and then I borrowed it for a day, and then immediately in next 2 days I wanted to seriously buy Fuji camera. I was just checking everywhere, and it was not available. I called up my friend in the US, and I said, no matter what you're going to send me in next 10 days, I want a Fuji camera. So I bought an X-T1 right away immediately, because it was cutting down my weight. So that was the only point I thought, I'm moving to Fuji. But then later I realized that there are so many other things that makes a photographer's life so much easy, because our life is so complicated, especially with the light, with clients, and so many other things. At least we want our gear to be very minimalistic, and then ease of use. That's where it makes our life more comfortable, easy to shoot. And the other thing that I've in the process, I realized that it cuts down a lot of post production work. I mean, from I can't even tell you how much it is, but it has drastically cut down on my post production values, because the straight, like you said, the JPEGs, they save a lot of time for a photographer. So that's how I moved on from one to another, then the queue menu, and then the push pull processing. Every step that I started learning, and then I was like, wow, what is this? I mean, it was just crazy. And The best part is it actually it gives me a marketing strategy as well, because when I started using way back in 2014-15 with my first generation of Fuji cameras, I always had a Wi-Fi connection with the mobile phone. It was so easy, so snappy, so quick that I used to click portraits and immediately I say, okay, it's on my phone. Do you want it? And they used to, yeah, yeah, sure, why not? I'd love to have this. How do you manage to quickly get it out into your phone? I said that's the magic. So I used to send it out, and they used to save my name as a photographer. I'm making a mark in somebody's memory, in a phone memory, right? So that actually gives a kind of marketing strategy to you yourself as a photographer. So I used to give them out, and people used to be very happy about it, because generally when a photographer clicks a photo, you're not going to get it now. So it's going to take a month's time. It was not in the case. So every such scenario from Fuji, I moved on from XT1, XT2, and now I'm using XT4. Now I've been experimenting with a lot of mid-range cameras and the initial the startup range cameras as well, because I shot weddings with A7. Believe it or not, I did, and the images are just, I mean, I couldn't believe myself. So let's come to XS10, because we're talking about XS10 Xperience. I happened to go to Bangalore last month, and then Fujifilm called up and said, now that you're in Bangalore, do you want to try it out a new one? I said, wow, I would love to. And then I picked it up. My event was at 7 o'clock. I picked it up at 6, and I started shooting immediately. I mean, I didn't know where the control dials were. I didn't know anything about the camera. I just knew that it's a new camera, and I believed the ecosystem of Fuji, not because they're just making one camera which is out of the box or something crazy. They make every product in such a way that I don't have to do a learning curve from switching one camera to another. It's just 5 minutes. It's just so snappy that I picked up and then I started shooting. So I thought for today's presentation, I'll bring up the images from that wedding. Most of the images that I'm showing up are mostly untouched. Few of them, yes, they were edited, but most of them I wanted to keep it very raw so that people understand what we want to show it up. So let me quickly bring it up, and then we can go to
okay. Before you start, Sudhakar, I just want to tell our viewers, please save your questions. We will have a Q&A at the end of the session, so please save your questions. Okay, if you type them in now, we might miss them. That's one. Second is, our studio. We are now broadcasting from our studio, and our studio, after COVID, most of the services in our building has not really resumed. Things like an efficient internet connection and a power connection, power backup, etc., has not really resumed. So you may find a little bit of lag or occasional disconnection, but stay there. We will quickly bounce back. Okay, so please don't go away. I thought I will tell this to our viewers. So don't think that we're getting disconnected. It's because of some, bad services that currently we are, getting. Okay, and there are some comments saying that Hindi, please. RPG Gaming saying Hindi, please. Unfortunately, if I speak Hindi, you will actually ask me to switch back to English. But Sudhakar, if you would like to speak in Hindi, if that's a comfortable language for you, please do that for or you can
mix it up,
mix it up, and so that the Hindi speaking people will be able to understand. So let me once you hit play, I will share your screen as well.
Yes.
All right. Okay, there you are. You are on the screen. You can present now.
So these photographs are explicitly shot on XS10. I've used it for, let's say, 24 hours or let's say 36 hours, and wanted to give you the first cut of the pictures. 80% of them are still raw, just touched, and the rest of them you can take a look at it. The first shot, because these people are very important in any wedding. and I found this a very good frame. While the couple was walking out, जब बाहर निकलते हैं अरुंधति के लिए South Indian wedding में, I saw these guys like in a typical pose. This is not a posed one, so just saw them and then clicked it. And thanks to the weather, because I could get a blue skies, uh, and then now look at the images. I mean, when we shoot a wedding, we treat every aspect, every vertical in a different way. When we're shooting the bridal jewelry, we become a product photographers. So just look at the images shot with S10, and you can see every inch, everything crystal clear, absolutely. And here are some brides getting ready shots. Like we are talking about so many picture profiles. I'm a ardent fan of black and white photography because it brings out the soul. And 20% of my shots are always in black and white. So you can actually take a look at how sharp these images are. आप देख सकते हो. I mean, it's crystal clear, and I think these are completely unedited. These are just as these images. Of course, we use some other prisms and stuff, but in terms of editing, ये untouched photographs है. And yes, here you can see it more clearly when the brides almost got ready, and then getting ready for the big day in the red dress. You can actually see everything so crystal clearly. Here are some other shots, because this shot was clearly instructed to me that she's so fond of the new necklace that she bought in for wedding. She wanted to get amazing pictures of it, just like in any ad she wanted to. So here it is. And these are completely untouched. And we move on to the next phase where the bride's waiting, and then some couple shots between the wedding. And here's another shot. Look at the colors. This is just about the evening sunset time, and we didn't have to tweak in so many colors and pick it up. So it was just amazing. The colors that are there. And then we move into the wedding. This wedding was a little chaotic because it was first wedding at their house. उनके घर की पहली शादी थी, तो सारे लोग मतलब किसी को कुछ पता नहीं था कि क्या कहाँ कैसे करना है. It was just as chaotic, and then there was no lights, but still because of that -7 EV, I think we pulled up some of the great shots. I mean, it really nailed it. I mean, I honestly, when I started using Fuji, I seriously had some issues with focusing in low light cases, but not anymore. Now -6 EV, -7 EV, I can nail a shot even in a dark room. Some of the rituals. This shot I kept it to make understand with the so much small in hand, you can reach to the places that are hardly you can in any ideal wedding, and people wouldn't even notice that you are actually shooting there, because we just get in there and then just pick the shot and then get out, and nobody will notice. That's magical because these cameras are so pretty small, and it's so easy for us. Like I said, it should make a photographer's job easier, right? Now, this is what I was talking about. If you see, there's a bride's father and mother standing, and then I just went in and then saw, there's an opportunity, just kept the camera and then clicked just in a gif. You look at any of these images, these were shot just in that frame, in that just little gap of, the parents. And then, yes, some other portraits that been shot in the reception. These are unedited as well. And the happy couple, the final shots of the couple. And that's what the X-S10 Xperience. Of course, the experience with the X-S10 is unlimited capabilities. You just have to have it in your hand and shoot it then you would know what I'm saying. And some of the traveling images, these are not shot with the X-S10, but wanted to, because whenever we reach out to the people say, how do you shoot? This is, does it perform in low light? They have so many questions. So I wanted to specially put up at least 3 or 4 images that were shot in absolutely no light, like sub-zero temperatures, zero, no light pollution, absolutely zero. So my whole point is, if these cameras can shoot something like this, I think they can shoot anything, because I love shooting astrophotography. These are some of the images that were shot in the midnight with zero light. These are shot in Ladakh last year with the Fuji cameras. So, ये था मेरी कहानी about Fuji cameras.
Yes, ये था मेरी कहानी. Now, that much of Hindi I also know, the Sudhakar.
So I can speak Hindi, but the whole problem is I get a Hyderabadi Hindi, which is Hyderabadi slang.
Oh.
People might find it very funny.
So then wait till you listen to a Malayali speaking Hindi. All right. Okay. Now there is something that I like to bring in, Nikhil, at this point. And one very important thing that I want to, besides, now I'm not talking about photography and Fuji for a brief while, because there are a whole lot of people who will be benefited by this. You were not photographers, right? You didn't started out as photographers, did you? You were from an entirely different. You both were from an entirely different field altogether, right? Can you share your experience, Nikhil? You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, engineer.
Yeah, engineers. Yeah. In fact, in the studio, we had 2 doctors today. Girls want to be models. And we were generally chatting, and there was this opinion that the girls want to become models, and the men who are engineers want to become photographers. Is there some theme happening? I mean, there's a reason why it is like that.
I mean, you can wherever your mind takes you. No, I mean, I don't know. It's yeah, but
is there a point in your career where you actually thought that no? I mean, or is it that you were forced into engineering and you always wanted to be a photographer, or you found photography as your calling, as they say, somewhere along the way? How did it happen?
So I say this even to this day. I still don't know if this is my calling. I'm very young in this field. I've only been professionally, doing photography for like 6 years now. So I don't know if it's my calling, but what I know is, till date, I've enjoyed this job more than anything else I've done. And as long as I'm happy doing this, I'll stick to it. 10 years from now, maybe it won't interest me as much as it does now, and I might change. So I can't say that, but for now, at least, I'm having a lot of fun. But you have to sort of keep innovating and keep trying new things, because if you just do the same thing again and again for years together, there will be a time where you'll get bored. So, which is why we started this whole pet photography thing. And none of it is from we never thought of it from a business standpoint. It's more from, let's explore this opportunity. Let's try and learn something new. And I think as long as you have that interest to learn something new on a day-to-day basis, you can sort of, continue doing. The photography is a huge subject, right? Like we've not even scratched the surface, right? So so there's a lot to do, a lot to learn, and it's also, I mean, I feel it's fortunate and unfortunate at the same time, because photography is at such a, or professional photography is at such a nascent stage in the country, or in India. Youngsters like us who actually don't really, don't really know that much about photography. We are also still learning, but because it's so new, the photography in general, or the popularity of photography, we've been given the stage to talk and share our experiences. But frankly speaking, we've also made mistakes, and we continue to do so. So it's a, like I was saying, it's a catch-22 situation, right? So lucky that we have this, but at the same time we are probably not experienced enough or to speak at such a stage, if I may. Do you agree, Sudhakar?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that was a very
I agree with
honest
you, Pawan.
answer. You can glorify your profession to all possible extents, but I think that was a very honest answer. You are doing it because you're enjoying it, and that is visible in your images for sure. So to anybody who was wanting to do photography, just make sure that you enjoy it, and don't look at it only as it is a business for sure, but when you stop enjoying your profession, and then it becomes just a business, no longer a creative profession, then you are into a bottling plant. You are like next kind of situation. So that's the key. Enjoy what you're doing. Like you said, you never know. You're only 6 years into this profession, and you never know. It still is your calling. It can be mountaineering or pet photography or something like that. You never know. But at this given point, you're enjoying it, and it's very obvious in your images. In fact, both your images. In Sudhakar's images, I think the outdoor images are, first, personally for me, it was much more stronger. Personally, when I look at it from a neutral perspective, those images were, because creating those images in Indian condition, it's not very easy, because of all those pollution issues that you were talking about. So a little bit about you, Sudhakar. We now heard about Nikhil. So can you please talk a little bit about yourself, please?
Okay, so here it is. Can you guys see this?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, this was the first camera that I used ever. Okay, when I was probably 12, 13, 14 years old. So somebody got me this, and then they said this is a camera, and I couldn't believe it, because this is way back in 93, 94. I was like, what? And I used to live in a rural place, and then I happened to make all that money just to buy a roll to fit into this. And then I asked somebody to go to Bangalore and get me a reel for it, because it was never available. And then the reel used to sit here, and then I have to see this and then click it here. I don't know whether it works or not. So, but I think that the roll had about 12 pictures, 12 exposures that you can make it. And then out of 12, I think I got 10 absolutely wrong. So just got 2 of them.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
So I just got 2 of them. And then when I saw the prints in my hand, I decided myself that this is something crazy that I've never seen before, never experienced before. That's the day I realized that I'm going to be a photographer. Anything, the man behind the camera, I wanted to be that person, because this is something crazy for me at that age. Then I started, and then I actually forgot it. And then I moved on with my life, because I was just a kid. And then the photography came back to me a few years later. And then I said, okay, I know that I need to be a photographer. Then moved on. Then, because how the Indian family works, so I had to move on to doing my graduation, and then I did my MBA. Meanwhile, once every 2 years, I used to the bug used to come back, bite me again, and then I used to go back there. it just kept happening. And then finally in 2010-11, I was working with Microsoft. I finished my MBA and then joined. I worked with companies like Dell, Deloitte, and then finally moved to Microsoft. And then realized that no, I think this is the time that I need to, because this is coming back to me every now and then. I just can't give it up. Of course, I was shooting a lot of landscape portraits whenever I used to travel since 2005. And then 2010 or 11, I decided, no, this is, I think I will take it up, because for sure I see there's a lot of happiness that I when I click pictures and around. So yeah, I think that's how I moved my career from completely a shift. But then I planned properly, and then I did not move on because I didn't want to put this as a statement to others, and give a wrong impression that I just moved overnight and then become a successful photographer or whatever it is. Please, it's not like that. I planned it perfectly, and then I worked almost for a year, where I used to shoot weddings in the morning. I used to go back to work in the night, work in the night at the office, and then had a lot of sleepless nights. Given up a lot of family time for it. I have struggled a lot. Then I saw some light at the end of the tunnel. So I think if you really are passionate about photography, I think not just photography, for a matter, you can pick up anything that you really like, and if you follow it up, I think you will end up being successful or being happy in your life.
I totally agree. My only disagreement is probably only photographers can say it. I don't think a bank manager or a cashier will say this, that or a doctor will say, this kind of an opinion, because, I did all these things and end of the day I found not really. And photographers, there is a common thread in the way anyone finds photography, but each one's experience is very different. I have an engineer in my office. He's quit. He somehow found the studio. First, he found my home, came and dropped his CD in the post box. And he hoped that I will get it and I will see it and I'll call him, which I did, and he is with us today. And he shoots all our YouTube videos these days, and he's an accomplished photographer himself. And we also have someone just joined who's from a remote village. Okay, so if he has to reach his village now from here, it'll take him 17 hours to reach, and it is within Maharashtra. Okay, so he has to crisscross 2 states to reach his village, which is up on top of a hill. Now he's here in the studio wanting to learn photography. So there are people who have, I don't know how many courier boys or how many bank employees or doctors can give you that kind of a story. Yeah. So photography, there is something special about photography. I'm sure. There is a reason why it is like that. Okay, so, well, what else? Shall we start taking some questions from people now?
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, people, in case if you have any questions, now you can start asking the questions now. Okay. This question from Overlanding Rig Expedition, saying it would be great if you can do a session with adventure and action content photographers and cinematographers. All right, so that is a suggestion which Fujifilm people have to kind of make note of, and we'll try and bring in some action photographers and cinematographers. Well, in fact, there were cinematographers featured in the earlier shows. Maybe you missed it, but we had Kunal Verma was featured. There were action photographers. I don't know how many. In fact, these guys are action photographers themselves. Reading is a big action.
Yeah, you can call that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, please let the questions come in. So once they come in, we will start asking them. Which lens is better for documentary and street photography? XF 23mm f2 or XF 1855 f4? Documentary photography. Would you like to answer that question? 23 or 1855? Which one would you prefer for documentary photography? This question is asked by Kamikaze. Which lens is better for documentary and street photography? 23 or 1855? Anyone would like to take that question?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it,
So I
Sudhakar.
think personally, yeah, go ahead, Nikhil.
I was saying you go ahead, and then I'll answer after you.
Okay. I think personally, I like 23 because it gives you the 35mm look and it's easy to go around if you're shooting a documentary with one single lens. You can actually I did a few of my personal projects with the 23mm because that gives you an overall, because that 23mm lens is absolutely sweet cake for us. I don't think I would ever go to any of the events missing that lens. It's that sharp, and the kind of look that it gives me, it's perfect for your 35mm screening size. I think personally I would love that 23mm.
Wonderful. And any feedback?
Yeah, I'll just chip in. For me, this question sort of comes up now and then, but frankly speaking, I think it's a very personal decision. Again, like Sudhakar, I would also prefer the 23mm f2. It's a beautiful lens. In fact, the 1855 is also a really nice lens. But with shooting weddings, like I was telling you earlier, I get confused when I see a lot of color. The same way, I try and reduce the number of calculations that my mind has to make at any given moment, and which is why I prefer a prime lens at all times. So then the only calculation that I need to make is how many steps to take ahead or how many steps to go back, and that's why I prefer prime lenses. They're also obviously, because they're only meant to do one job, they're a lot quicker with focusing, and the quality of the images are a lot better. But at the same time, it's not like you cannot produce results with an 1855 if so it's a very personal decision. I mean, both these lenses are really, really nice, but the 23 is better.
23 is still the game. But I have a quick suggestion for the question. Well, you can figure it out in your own way. If you're already shooting photography, you can actually go to your Lightroom and see what are your shots, how many shots, what is your favorite focal length. You can actually filter it out. Let's say if you have 100 pictures that you shot, you actually see what is the most number of shots that you did with a particular focal length. That will tell you by default that you actually like this perspective, and it will give you a hint that okay, you need to go and buy close to that focal length. That will actually help you, because I do a lot of my shots when I'm in my Lightroom. When I do a wedding or when we do a project, we see that the metadata, we filter it out. What is the focal length that I'm actually using in this wedding or in any of the last few weddings? Is my focal length, is my perspective has changed, or is my taste changed, or what is it that I've done? So that actually gives a lot of information in your Lightroom if you have a library.
That's a very interesting thing. I think we must use that in one of our videos. Thank you for that input. It's a good thing. I mean, if you look at a collection of images, and if you can figure out which is the focal length at which we have shot the maximum number of images, I think you're highly likely. Yeah, so you are automatically gravitating or levitating towards that particular. Yes. So it's best to reduce confusion and just go for that, a block lens or a prime lens which is closest to that particular focal length. That's a very, very interesting decision. I think it's a paisa vasool suggestion for this particular session for sure. At least for me. Yeah. I mean, I've heard it first. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. So let's move to the next question. It says, the question is, given the chaos during the Indian weddings, is it possible to do wedding photography single-handedly?
Well, Yeah, in Corona times, you can still go ahead and do it single-handedly. But as long as if you're confident on your work, I think you can still go ahead and shoot it. But it doesn't happen because wedding is all about a team's work because there needs to be a video team. There, if it's only photography, then I understand. But always, second perspective makes your stories better because when I'm shooting, I have my own perspective towards the wedding. But if I have my second shooter, he knows that what I shoot, what I really love, and I know what he's good at. So mix of perspectives makes wedding photography much better because you need to satisfy too many people in a wedding. It's not just you, right? So there is auntie, या uncle होते हैं, या उनके फूफा जी होते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं जिनको हर किसी को you need to satisfy because you need to get more clients, you need to get appreciated with your work. So different perspectives always a better choice if you're looking at a wedding photography. But otherwise, in times like Corona, I shot wedding single-handedly. I just when they said, "Oh, there are some log hai, please, we don't want to do this. So can you come and single-handedly do the event?" I said, "Fine, no problem. If there are 20, 50 people, I think it should be good enough to go ahead and shoot."
Yeah. Now, to the viewers, one question. If you can also direct your question to either Nikhil or Sudhakar, it'll be easy. We can avoid duplication, so you can address your question to a particular person you like to answer your question. Okay. Sudhakar, I think this is again to you. What lens did you use for your jewelry shots that you showed?
I think I've used the 16mm 1.4 lens. That's one of my favorite lens to shoot because it can give you can actually go as close as you can to a jewelry or a subject. I think 16mm is the answer.
Okay. And the next one. Okay, so this is a technical question. I'm planning for a wedding filmmaking. Bharati Murugan is asking which lens is better: 16-55-2.8, 16-23-35-56 prime lenses. Which is better?
Well, for filmmaking, I think you need to be having most of the prime lenses because if I'm getting it right, you're trying to shoot a cinematic or a candid video that you're intent to, then I think the prime lens is always better. But it's always good to have a all-round lens like 16-55 2.8 or something like that because they're absolutely great because you're shooting with 16mm wide and suddenly you need to zoom in and then you can't go there. So I think 16-55 will do an all-round lens, but if you're shooting a cinematic level of videos, then I think we would prefer shooting with most prime lenses. That'll give you that cream bokeh effect or shallow depth of field, everything that you want, that everybody wants to see in their videos.
Absolutely. And it's easy to handle even if you're on a gimbal to move around with a lighter, smaller lens is much better than much easier than easy to manage than using a lens like a 16 heavier front. Then your camera becomes front heavy if you're using it on a gimbal. And these days, I think majority of the wedding is shot using a gimbal. I think sliders are out of the way. I think nobody uses sliders anymore. Yeah, I mean, of course, there will be one guy hanging around with a slider, but I think it's the gimbal which is the hero these days, I suppose. So you got your answer, Bharati. Ideally, you must have both a set of primes and one very, very useful zoom range which you like. This is exactly how cinematographer works in the feature film. They have a set of 5 prime lenses, okay, and they will have 10 to like a 10 to like a
24
decent zoom, like a decent zoom, like a 10 to 15 or a 10 to 20 kind of a zoom, and they have both, correct? And they love to work with and whenever possible they will avoid the zoom. I mean, they will work with the prime only, and zoom is there in case if you get stuck for a certain particular angle which you for some reason you can't move backwards or forward, or for some reason, then you use your a zoom lens. So that's how you should, I think, build your system. Okay, how this one question, I don't think this lens is here. Any one of you have tried the f10? I think they're talking about that 50 mm lens from Fuji.
Yes.
We plan to use it in our upcoming expedition. Any suggestions for shooting in snow-filled region of Himalayas? Anybody can take that question and answer that.
Yeah, we haven't got it in India next. I'm getting it first. Then
Oh, wow.
Then Radha.
Yeah.
No, any suggestion? Also, any suggestions for shooting in snow-filled region of Himalayas? Yeah. Take lots of whiskey or rum and wear warm clothes, and then you're fine.
I think
that's for Sudhakar.
I think they are into events, I suppose, from the name. That's what I understand. Overlanding rig expeditions. Yeah. So I mean, I'm there into it. So they already know which brand is the most popular brand, and I'm sure they know how to carry it.
I think you just have to. They just have to make sure that they're carrying, weather sealed products, especially if you're looking at the Fuji X series or the GFX. If you're shooting, make sure that you just carry all weather sealed lens, weather sealed bodies, so that they don't give up. And then make sure you have a lot of power banks attached to your cameras, because earlier days we never had power banks, and cameras never used to get charged, fueled up with the power banks. Now it's easy. Just when I go to Himalayas, Leh or Ladakh, Zanskar, this is what I do. I just put my power bank overnight, because I shoot a lot of Astros and Milky Ways and time lapses. Is what I do. So just put it up, and then like Nikhil said, have some whiskey or rum. Just sit there and then enjoy the view, and then shiver it up, and then like wait for the output to come out.
All right. Okay. Ram Prasad Kannan is asking for an honest opinion. Honest opinion that he is asking is, I suppose he's asking you to compare the autofocus of the X-S10 and the X-T4. How the autofocus system tracking, and will it match the X-T4, or are there any shortcomings? I'm sure he is want to compare X-T4 with the X-S10.
So I'll just chip in again.
Yeah, sure.
I've played around with the X-S10 for like 2-3 days now, and with a lot of these pet portraits, these animals are really, really fast, unfortunately, and the focus is hit at all times, even with like really low light, where I'm trying like very dramatic lighting like Sudhakar, but the focus is work, man. The one thing I try and do with or something that I am comfortable with, and it's just me. I'm not saying the system is should work that way, and you should also try it out. But I tend to use this in the AFS mode and not the AFC mode. For me personally, I just find it locks on a lot quicker, and I've not really missed too much focus. The only time I turn on AFC is if somebody is approaching and things like that, and it's worked for me. Even with the way you can customize these buttons, stuff like face detection and these features, I don't use it on at all times. I keep it, whenever I want to turn it on, I just quickly turn it on and then use it and then switch it off. So I've sort of devised it to work for me personally, and I think, but just to try and answer your question, I've been very, very impressed with the focusing on this. It's quite fast. It's quite fast. Yeah, and I'm guessing the XT4 and the XT3 have the same focus, because I haven't tried the XT4, but the XT3 is also. I mean, I think they're equally good. If I don't think there is a big difference between the two.
Yes, I think they're equally good because when I was using X-S10 in the last wedding that I did, I don't think I've felt anywhere that there is a difference between shooting XT4 or X-S10. Of course, there are few features that are not available in X-S10 because of its mid range. But I think that in terms of quality or in terms of autofocus, I think it's on par with XT4, especially in low light. They've taken it to minus 7 EV. So I've shot in a dramatic lighting where completely dark room, and then unless the light fires up, you can't see the bride and groom standing there. So in those situations, it was really performing nice. I mean, I think I never felt that there is a difference. That's very honestly, there is no difference in terms of autofocus system.
Okay, thank you. The next question is specifically aimed at Nikhil. Says, hi, hello, Nikhil. My question to you is, do you usually shoot on black and white? Also, what profile do you recommend for wedding, flat or black and white on Fuji X-T3?
Thanks, Aditya, for that question. Yeah, so most of the time when I'm shooting weddings, I'm shooting with a RAW as well, and I'm shooting the fine JPEG sort of those images in JPEG and RAW. So the JPEG, what you see on screen is shooting in the Acros, which is the black and white filter which comes with these Fuji cameras. And like I said earlier, it's just because there are so many colors at Indian weddings. They'll somehow manage to put pink, yellow, green, orange, red, every color that's there. They'll put it in the wedding. So it just confuses me a lot. So I try and just shoot with the black and white profile. But because I'm shooting RAW, if I actually want to convert it into color, and obviously most 70-80% of my images are in color when delivered to the client, then I can when I edit them, then it's okay, then I can look at it, but when I'm shooting, I only want to concentrate on things that are under my control, which is the light, and that's about it, and nothing else, and the frame. I can't do much about the color. I mean, that's not the way I look at photography. A lot of people play with color as well, but it's just it's not it doesn't work for me. So yeah, so for me, I prefer shooting every wedding with the black and white profile on. But yeah, again, there's no right or wrong here. So you can use any of those Fuji simulations, and all of them look great.
Well, I had two minds whether I should answer this question or not answer this question. This question is primarily directed at me. ASICS Digital Studio saying, "Bhai, ये सेशन भी मन की बात जैसा ही है, सवाल पूछने वाले भी और उनके और जवाब देने वाले भी फूजी फिल्म ब्रांड के हैं, करेक्ट? मेंटर्स, अब किसको हमारे सवाल पूछूं? My friend, tomorrow I don't know what cameras are you using. Okay, my Hindi is very weak, but I can read. But tomorrow, if you are a Panasonic user, come to Pixel Village tomorrow in the afternoon. We have Panasonic. Next week we have a couple of other brands lined up. So हम किसी का दीवाने नहीं. We are photographers and we love photography and we love photographers. Okay, and probably that's the reason why a brand like Fuji is asking us to host a show where they have dozens of photographers or mentors in their arsenal. Okay, so your question is a little misplaced. Probably you thought you will score a brownie point by asking that question here, but you got a wrong person, my friend. But you let me know which your brand is, and if you have any questions, I will try to answer it at best of my ability in the most neutral fashion as possible. Please don't ask me to compare cameras. I don't do it because I'm nobody to talk about a 100-year-old company and what they should do and they should not do. Okay, so sorry to disappoint you there, S6 Digital Studio. Okay, now let me move on. I thought I should take that and give that answer, because people will feel that there are three Fuji lovers sitting here and talking about Fuji. No, my friend, we are talking about photography. Okay, and how Fuji is helping you to do better pictures is something which can definitely talk about. All right, so yeah, okay, let's move on. Arun Babu is asking, when you have more weddings on a single day, how do you manage a team? And when you get freelancers, do you check with equipment, which equipments they have, and how relevant that is? Nikhil, can you take that, please?
I've never shot more than a single wedding on a day. From the time I started, I wanted to be personally involved with every wedding that I shoot, and I don't have a big team. We are two people. Every wedding, even pre-corona, the weddings we used to do were fairly small and intimate. In I may call them that, but that's been my approach towards doing wedding photography. I never wanted to shoot a wedding and not be involved in it. So I'm personally involved with every wedding that I shoot. The second thing about hiring freelancers, again, honest opinion, I don't really care about the equipment they're using. The freelancers that I work with from a photography standpoint, I've been working with them for 5 years now or 6 years now. And I've invested time, effort, and energy into building this relationship between both parties. So they understand what I want, and I understand what they want from me, and it's a very symbiotic relationship, right? So and things like camera gear and other things, I find them irrelevant. So I don't think it's come into the picture at all. So yeah, but that's my approach towards doing this. So yeah.
And Sudhakar, would you like to add to that, please, or you have another opinion? You are not audible. Something happened. I think your audio is going.
So I think pretty much same. Me also, I don't think we do a shoot 2 weddings in a day or at the same point of time. Well, of course, maybe if it's a day and night wedding, and then most of the wedding comes from references, and they strongly really want us to come and shoot. In those quirky situations, we might accept if the time is not actually colliding to each other's wedding. Unless if it is really that they want at least our team to be present, it's okay, but otherwise we don't do it. Like Nikhil said, it's an understanding between when you're working with the vendors, we have a specific team that we have. Okay, so we don't hire somebody else from and teach them on the spot. It's not going to happen, because they come with a certain expectation, and we want to deliver the same what we showcase, right? So then the team knows what we want and what the client wants, because we brief them. This is what they're looking at. So we don't have to do this every day in, day out. So we have a specific team, and we only work with them. We don't want to do this 2 weddings a day, 3 weddings a day. We don't want to do that, because we have come here with a passion for photography, and there's some art still in us that want to do better images every time we shoot, not completely commercial. So that's how we actually die. And I absolutely agree with Nikhil, because I think we are on the same point.
Okay, I'm going to kind of go back and ask a technical question here. Now, Fuji makes only crop sensor cameras, correct? And there is a big thing about owning a full frame camera. While I have nothing against the full frame cameras, you both seems to be very comfortable. And lots of photographers that I know seems to be very comfortable with using a crop sensor camera and grabbing fantastic images. Have you ever considered that option? Have you ever weighed, APS-C full frame option at any point, or is there any other reason why you said, okay, APS-C is fine with me? Or can you answer that question, please? Since Sudhakar is on the big screen, let's can you start first? Please go first.
This is my question, because every time we go to a workshop, the first question is, why are you shooting with APS-C? And my answer is very simple. If sensors really matter, why not everybody shoot with Super 35mm or the Fuji X100 megapixel camera? Why not? Okay. So, like I said, the gear has to be, you need to be using it with ease. Okay. And very particularly, I was sure that I'm going to get this question. So I put up those astro photographs in the slideshow that I've shown, because if somebody can nail these kind of shots with a camera, with so-called, they name it as APS-C, whatever they want to call it. So I don't see a difference. I don't see any quality degrade. They are on par with any full frame. In fact, I moved from a full frame to an APS-C because when I shifted, I was shooting a full frame in way back 2013-14. Then I moved to APS-C because I really loved the cameras, and they were shooting the same thing, and I was shooting the same guy. See, if in a very humorous way, let me say this: आप किसी होटल में जाते हो, खाना खाते हो, आप यही पूछते हो ना कि भैया खाना किसने बनाया, इतना अच्छा है, या फिर आप ये पूछते हो कि भैया कौन से कुकर में बनाया है, कौन से थाली पे सजाया है. You don't ask that. You ask who's the chef, right? So it's the same thing. It's the photographer that makes a difference. Yes, of course, the cameras does make a difference, but yes, not to the extent where actually you keep it aside. No, it's not like that. We've been shooting since last 6 years with APS-C cameras, and our images speak for themselves. We don't have to answer, this is the technical answer that I'm going to give you because this has these many pixels, this has this. No, I'm not going to do that. You look at any of the astro images that I've shot, I can pull it up. They're online, they're on my Instagram page, they're on my website. Take a look at it. They nail it. Okay, in sub-zero temperatures, in zero light, I can still focus the stars, I can still get out the shot, and the max ISO that I use is 6400. 6400. I don't need a 1,02,000 ISO to shoot a wedding or to shoot anything for that matter. We don't, in a real time, it doesn't really matter. I don't want to fall in for, marketing gimmicks or for, X company claims that we have a 5 lakh ISO. I don't want to go there. Why do I want to do a 5 lakh ISO? I don't want to. I'm using the astro photograph that I've shown was shot at 6400 max. What else do you need it?
Absolutely. Nikhil?
So you decide for yourself.
Nikhil, you next.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add much to that, but yeah, exactly what Sudhakar said, right? And frankly speaking, probably the first time I used a Fuji camera, it was at the back of my head. Probably, I don't even know. So it's been 3 years or 4 years since I first started using the Fuji camera, but it must have been in the back of my head, right? Because you've been told this time and again, right? For years together, we've been told that अच्छा तुम wedding shoot कर रहे हो तो तुम्हें full frame से ही shoot करना पड़ेगा, right? But it's just make your own decisions pretty much at the end of the day, because it doesn't, again, like Sudhakar said, right? In the real world, it doesn't matter, especially in our real world where everyone's seeing, the picture on Instagram and on their mobile screen. Probably it doesn't. I mean, it absolutely makes zero difference to my life or to my clients. Yeah, it makes zero difference. So the only positive it has is it's smaller and lighter, and for me that is the biggest reason I shifted to the Fuji sort of system. It's just easier to hold and use. Everything is easier, but I don't think the images. I mean, if there is a difference, I can't see it. It's like. Yeah, I mean, even with music, they have these audio files who talk about,
yes.
Yeah, maybe there are people who can make the difference out. It's just, it doesn't make a difference to my life, so I'm okay with it. And that's basically it.
Absolutely. Okay, so What else? Let me also look for another question if there is. Okay, Overland guys, as we suspected, they are into organizing expeditions. That's right. Okay. Then there is a couple of questions in Tamil. Anyone knows? Can you read Tamil, Nikhil? No. Okay. Sorry, my friend. Photographer. What else? What else? I'm looking for questions.
And meanwhile, add to that point, while we most of the time we see it on mobiles and iPads and stuff like that. We even print 4 feet, 5 feet. If you look at any of the background images on my canvas, they were all printed with APS cameras. I don't see any difference. Even in prints, I don't see the colors are absolutely lovable. People, sometimes it happens. I'm sure Nikhil also must have experienced it. The moment a wedding happens, the people are eager to see the picture, right? And earlier, we never used to deliver. We have to tell them, no, please wait, hang on. There's the process around it, that, this. Now it's okay. You just shift. Put it on a phone, couple of, let's say 7-10 pictures. No, you don't need an editing, nothing. Just put it and then just send it to them. They're happy. They're saying, have you already done the editing? No, we have not done anything. We've shot it that way because the colors are so nice that people look at it and they think that it's been edited. And when you print them also, you should look at the print. I love prints because I shoot a lot of my travel pictures prints. And like you just feel like sleeping with them lying around this like this.
Oh yeah, I see an exotic camera in Nikhil's hand. That's one of my favorite too.
I just wanted to say this is my favorite camera, and there is no other photographer who looks as cool as me when I use this.
Totally agree. Yeah.
No, but it's such a good-looking camera, man. I mean,
yeah, it is.
Most of us buy stuff because it's good-looking, so yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. Sometimes both the 100V and the X Pro 3, both the X Pro series, the entire series, they are for me, they are like jewelry. I mean, they are much more than just cameras. I mean, they are amazing. The X100 and this X Pro series, my favorite. It's amazing. Yeah, they actually make you look at an image in a different way, and the moment you hold it up, you start seeing image a little differently from you would using an X-T3, X-T4, or any of those, mirrorless cameras. This one has a different feel altogether, and they have, that's something which I really have to give it to Fuji. We know that, like one of our viewers said, we are sitting in Fuji's website. But Man Ki Baat nahi kar raha hu. We are definitely talking photography, and photography is also about emotions, right? I mean, you're connected to that camera. That's why you suddenly picked it up and said, "Look, I like this." Yeah. So it's about the feel. I mean, when you touch and feel, and you get a certain feel. Yeah. All right. Okay. What else? Okay. Is there anyone who can do a little bit of astrology? Please help Bharati. If I want to buy a new camera after New Year, should I go for X-T4 or can I wait for X-H2? We for video purpose. I cannot really guess for Bharati. Bharati, which is your birth star? Let me, Anyway, jokes apart. We have a couple of, Fuji Tech people in the live session. They are waiting. Probably they'll be able to give you a better answer, and I'm sure they will answer in your questions. In the comments column. All right. So fantastic. Prachi More and Cyan Play agrees to our feelings about X Pro and the X100. All right. I think what, it's almost 1.5 hours. I didn't realize that we've been talking about. I think we can go on, but it's a Saturday evening. People have started getting out of their, those rat holes. Post. I mean, things have slowly become better, and people have started going out. So I don't think we should hold them anymore. Somebody's got the last question. Sayan, please ask before Sudhakar, and kindly take my questions. Ajay, waiting. Bharati Murugan saying thanks for astrology. All right. Okay, Arun Babu is asking, what kind of photographer would you suggest X-S10 to? To whom would you suggest X-S10 to?
For everybody. I mean, I can't differentiate. If the company tagged it as a mid-range, I wouldn't see it as a mid-range because it performed like an X-T4. Absolutely, just few features like weather sealing and other stuff. I think it performed just like an X-T4. I think somebody who wanted to join Fuji's family photography and then wanted to upgrade their skills, because it's a 2-in-1. Okay, it shoots 4K. It has IBIS. It has all the picture profiles, everything that a Fuji camera has, the X-S10 in it. So I think everybody should pick it up if they're looking out for a camera. I don't think you should be waiting for Pongal or New Year to pick it up, unless Fujifilm rolls up some offers for you. Because this is the right time, because this is a celebration time, right? End of year, it's all about celebration, because we've been through a very rough times in 2020. So I think you should pick up right away and then start shooting the Christmas celebration and New Year and see how it goes. Share it with us. We would be happy to be part of this.
Yeah, sure. I have a thought on that for sure, because I actually did a review of the XT30, and I understand that the XT30 is not getting upgraded, and this probably has come in and filled in that place, and with a lot of additional features which the XT30 did not have, like the inbuilt stabilization, and completely articulated screen, etc. Because XT30 had that limitation, did not have that completely articulating screen. It only had a tilt screen. So these are things that makes this more juicier, more likable at a price point which is again fantastic. So you have two options now. The XT30 prices have come down. XT4 had a limited period offer, and then you have this. So the entire range is filled with. If you look at Fuji camera offerings, they have products and unbelievable prices too. So especially, like you said, someone who's coming out of COVID and wanting to upgrade the system and start afresh. Money definitely is a limiting factor for sure. One. Second is that by doing that, by going for an X-S10, you are not really compromising any quality, because it's got a new sensor, it's got a 5-axis stabilization, it's got a -7 EV stabilization, which means you can shoot at much lower light with much accurate focusing, etc. And of course,
I think the video is stuck. We just have to just give us a minute. I think
few films. Okay, we are back. We are back. Sorry, it is that small glitch that I was talking about earlier. So on all possible, this is definitely for a beginner. Definitely, it's the first camera, and someone who's already got an XT4 or an XT30, this is definitely a second camera. So that's how I look at an X-S10 as. Our review is coming up. So, but more or less, our reviews are in the same line. And it is also a very good camera to go on a gimbal. I mean, in fact, there is not too much of weight advantage, because this only has probably, the only difference is the body. Otherwise, everything is very similar. So, like Sudhakar said, XT4 and this, there's too much of a difference. If your budget is kind of a limiting factor, and if you can forego the 4K 60 and the full HD 120 and 240, if you can forego that, I think this is a fantastic option. XT30, I love XT30, but there are a lot of people who wants a newer generation camera. XT30 is about close to a 2-year-old, though it is, I mean, for me, it is an all-time great camera. I definitely think that this camera is for those people. All right. Okay, so now I think all the questions are answered. So let me take this opportunity to thank Fuji for giving this opportunity for Pixel Village to talk to Nikhil and Sudhakar. I really enjoyed the session, and I enjoyed those wonderful images and those experience, and also that one thing that you spoke about, that the lens range.
Focal length range.
Oh, that's amazing. That's something which I definitely learned today. So with that note, I would request everyone to go to Nikhil's Instagram, follow Nikhil and Sudhakar. Nikhil, can you please mention your Insta handle, please?
Yeah, you guys can, everyone can follow me at Nikhil Shastri. That's spelled NIKHILSHASTRI. Yeah.
All right. And Sudhakar Bichali. And
guys, hit me up on Sudhakar Bichali for my travel work, and for my wedding work, you can always hit me up on Wedding Skates.
Wonderful. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to Fujifilm X India. And of course, I'm a YouTuber, so I'm shameless. I'm going to ask you to even like and subscribe Pixel Village too. Okay, so looking forward to talking to the Fuji lovers once again, photographers in general, Fuji lovers in particular, with another session. And I wish everyone a fantastic weekend. And Christmas is just around the corner, so is New Year. But COVID is still around. Okay, so when you make and go out and mix with people, be very careful. We seems to have escaped the second wave. That's because of the care that we all took. But the Christmas and New Year can spoil it for us. So be very careful when you get out. Take enough precautions, and let's look forward to a fantastic 2021. Wishing everyone a fantastic weekend, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Bye for now.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you, Sudhakar, and thank you.
Thank you. It was very wonderful time.
I thank you, Fujifilm, without whom we could not have had this session. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's almost like a ritual now, like
yeah.
Right. All right. Wonderful. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we also leave?
Yeah,